Google Gemini have just unleashed the Kraken today with their new update, Google Gemini 2.5 images, and it's gone bananas, aka nano banana. So if you're not familiar, basically there was a release earlier this week where Google were talking about there was this stealth release of Nano Banana, it's called. It was a really good image editing model. And it's been revealed, I think, as we all suspected, that this is actually Gemini 2.5 images. Now, there's a few ways you can use this, right? If you want to get started, you can go straight to Gemini, and you can just select images. So you click on the tools and then create images from here. And then you can start generating this, right? So for example, I can say mafia cat in a suit, eating pasta, but keeping the same character consistent, right? So for example, we've got a cat eating spaghetti right there, having the time of its life, right? And then I've said, make the hat a bowler hat. Plus in the previous prompt, I said different cities every night, right? And so now it generated a mafia cat in Bangkok, enjoying some pasta, sporting a bowler hat. And so it's really easy to generate these images. It's far faster than using something like ChatGPT. We can actually compare the outputs here. Here we have Da Vinci painting the Mona Lisa. This is Julius Caesar reading an iPad in the Roman Senate. And it's really easy to generate these. Here's another example. So this is a cat explaining generative engine optimization on a whiteboard like a professor. And then we've got the cat having a great time just presenting that. So if you want to generate more cats, which the internet knows it needs, then you can do that using Gemini images. You can also say, for example, Muay Thai fight in Bangkok with the fighters Yetis and suits. And then you could say, okay, change the Yetis to Bigfoot plus make the image feel more like a photo, not a cartoon, right? Something like that. And it's really fast when you're using this. Plus, this is completely free to use, right? So the brand new update is completely free for anyone to start using, and you can use it straight away. So now we've got the image. It does seem to struggle with generating like photorealistic stuff, but you can see here it switched people to Bigfoot in suits instead. And then if you want to, you can download this. And you can also use this for generating videos, right? So for example, if we start a new chat here, we can actually add the photo we just downloaded. And then we can say, okay, turn this into a video. And we've taken the photo generated with 2.5 images, and then we're going to generate a video with Veo 3. So you've got like this all-in-one media production process using Gemini images and Veo 3 Gemini video generator inside Gemini. Right, nice and easy. Now, also what you can do here is you can go over to OpenRouter and you can get the API for it. It's already out. So if you go to OpenRouter models and then scroll down, you can see there are two different options right here. So you've got Gemini 2.5 image preview, and that is free. How crazy is that? You can actually use an API for generating images completely for free. I've never seen that before. It's pretty amazing though. And then if you want to, you can also go to Google AI Studio. You can have a look and see which apps are actually currently using it as well. So you can see here, for example, OpenRouter, Client, RuCode, etc. You can use these inside here. Really cool stuff. And then you could actually build your own image generation tool using the API. So for example, you could take the API requirements, go to AI Studio, code something out, and then build out your own SaaS tool, for example, like a YouTube thumbnail generator, for example. So that's going to take a couple of minutes to generate the video. Here we go. We've got it ready to go. So that is the image turned into a video. Let's play that again. Let's go full screen on this bad boy. Here we go.
Oh, he's rocked. He is rocked.
There we go. That's actually got sound and commentary on the background too. Plus you can see the rain in it too, right? So you can see the rain falling down from the sky in the background. The attention to detail is crazy. So you can literally bring anything to life. AI Code says, when does Gemini 3.0 come? Who knows? But I would imagine that it's probably going to come. A lot of people are predicting August, so it's pretty much the end of August. So I'd expect it to come next month, to be honest. With GPT-5 coming out, Claude 4, etc., Gemini are due an upgrade when it comes to this as well. So pretty cool. Now, you can also get access to something called Whisk. And with Whisk, using the new Gemini 2.5 Flash Banana update, you can now start using this as well, right? So if you go to Whisk Labs, then you go to My Library, you can create a new project here, right? So you can add an image, and then you've got the subject, the scene, and the style, right? Which is really cool. And then Nyla says, any way to use it without so many, what sort of policy restrictions are you facing? Because I've not found any. And people comment on the live stream, there's policy restrictions. And I'm like, I haven't seen any problems with it. So I don't know, like, what people are creating with it that's so crazy that it refuses to generate. 'Cause I've not seen any issues with the policy updates on Gemini at all so far. So let's have a look what we got here. So we can add a subject, a scene, and a style. All right. So if we go back here, what I can do, let's go back to the what we got here. I'm going to go back to Gemini and I say, okay, create a subject, scene, and style for my movie about a gangster cat. Something like that. Describe each visually plus separately in a short way. All right, and what we're going to do is just use this to generate output on Google Whisk. Now, if you haven't seen what you can do with Whisk, it's pretty cool. So you add your subject, you add your subject again here, and then you add a scene, right? And so you can see, for example, they've taken the face from here, plugged it onto the character, the suit as well, and then the scene is the jellyfish ocean. So you can really like create like a full character scene using this process. It's absolutely crazy. So for example, here we've got the scene. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go with create images, and I'll say create this image, and that'll be the subject. Now, if we ask ChatGPT to generate the same thing, let's see which one is better. So you can see how fast that was. That's looking pretty cool. The cool thing about this is it's similar to Photoshop, but it's AI style. So you can do this for free. So for example, with this one, you can say add a baseball bat instead of the gun, and then you've got the image right here. You can see that there are some lack of details here. So for example, it's not quite gripping the baseball bat. So I'm going to say make sure the cat is gripping the baseball bat, plus make him look more like a gangster. So it's quite easy to go back and forth in the chat. I haven't seen any limits on generations, but there must be a limit as well. So we'll see what we get here. There we go. All right, so we're going to take that. Then we're going to go over to Whisk. We'll plug in the subject. Now we can generate the image directly here, or we can drag and drop as well, so we can upload an image, right? So if we upload an image, like we can add that. If we want to add the scene, we can actually just take the text from the scene. So let's pull that over. Click generate, and then we've got the style, right? And so inside the style, I'm going to enter the text here, hit generate. And there we go. So we've got all the styles and the scenes and everything else. So now what it should start doing is generating a video based on the subject, the scene, and the style. And there we go. Now, if you want to animate this, you can. So you can click on animate here. And then it's going to start generating this like so. Now, if we want to compare the outputs of Gemini versus, say, ChatGPT image generation, let's take this one, for example. We'll go straight onto the chat, tools, create images, and side by side, we'll compare ChatGPT versus Gemini. So we've got this one versus this one. And we'll see which one generates the fastest. And you see how much quicker Gemini is, right? It's actually mind-blowing. So if we compare these side by side, like ChatGPT 5 is still getting started. It's going to take a long time. It's not using GPT-5, I don't think, to generate the images. I think it'll be using the new API that just came out a few months ago from ChatGPT to generate that. But you can see how much quicker you get outputs, right? So now we've got the video with the sound. So if we just change the sound here. All right. And before we get into that, look at the difference in the quality of outputs, right? This is the cat versus this one. And I would genuinely say this one's a lot nicer. ChatGPT 5 seems to default to this kind of like almost drawing style image. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as this one. And then if we go on to Whisk, Whisk has already generated the video based on our scene. So if we open this up, we've got the original image and then we animated that into a scene. And so if we go full screen on this, we actually have the sound in the background and it's generated in Veo 3 and the 3 different inputs that we gave it. And there you go, right? And then you can download that, use it how you want to, etc. And you can see the generations in the top that we have left. So it works really well with Whisk. Honestly, was that like the most mind-blowing example I've ever seen? No, but it is really good. Giuliano says, good morning, Julian, bro. Google throwing bombshells one after another. Like, it's relentless. Constantly giving out new updates and new cool stuff. It's absolutely amazing, to be fair. The fact that you can do all this for free as well, it's just mind-blowing, isn't it? Let's have a look at some of the other creations that people have made for inspiration on Twitter. I want to see what other people are making. So you can, like, for example, this is a pretty cool feature. You can like edit someone's hair and just see, okay, what do they look like with different hair colors, if that makes sense. And then also you can see here, for example, you can edit a photo or a selfie and just add different background styles to it. Now on top of that, you've got, for example, let's say you got a picture of your grandma and granddad, like these guys, and then you've got an alien and an ape at the end. And then also you can turn a black and white image into something with color. So that's really cool what you can do here. You can see, for example, someone's changed the wedding photos to a potato, because why wouldn't you? So this is basically it. Tiago says, why are you using Whisk instead of Flow? Because Whisk is just, Flow you can use as well, but I really like the idea of just having 3 different options here. And then I think that gives you the most out of the Gemini 2.5 image generation. Whereas, for example, inside Flow, not that much has changed, right? It's pretty much the same, which is video generation. Ola says, the real Julian, that's it. And then Arian says, Nano Banana is really crazy. I would agree with you. And there we go. So let's go back here. Let's try and do something. So, for example, if we take this image here, and I say, right, now give the cat green hair. And you can basically edit this like Photoshop, except you're giving it text-based prompts, right? Instead of editing it manually. So the need for designers is becoming less and less. You can see the hair right there. Pretty good. The only thing that I have found it struggles with, and I'll show you some examples in a minute, some of the stuff that I've seen it struggle with is actually editing thumbnails, YouTube thumbnails. So if we go over here, like text replacement. And so, for example, here, this is something, that is not good about it. So I said, for example, change GPT-5 instead to Photoshop instead inside this image, and it just totally misspelled it, as you can see right here. And you see how it's really sloppy with the way it's highlighted the background text. It should only be highlighting this word right here, but it's highlighted hop is and then as well. Doesn't make sense. And then I said Photoshop, not Photoshop. It redid it, but you see how sloppy that red background is. So with text editing, it doesn't seem to be great. And then I said change Photoshop instead to Nano Banana, and it's got like a really big space inside here. So even though it edited it how I wanted it, it didn't keep the design really nice. So it's just something to bear in mind, is like the text editing, pretty trash. Arian said, can you compare the output from AI Studio and Gemini of image generation? That's a great one. So let's do that. We're going to go into AI Studio here, and we'll go into Gemini. And inside here, we're going to say, okay, generate an image of a woman marrying a potato. And then inside the settings, you just change this to featured and then Gemini 2.5 flash image preview. All right, so click on that. And then we'll do the same inside Gemini over here. Create images, and we'll see which one does the best. Now, inside AI Studio, it does have a limited free quota, but you get more customization of the outputs. Right? Now, this is interesting too. So it says model isn't available right now. Please wait a minute and try again. So it's probably being flooded on the servers in terms of who's using it and that sort of thing. You can see you can actually use the old version here. Let's try it again. I'm going to give it one more whirl, and then if it doesn't work, we may give up, or we may try it inside OpenRouter. There we go. So it worked here. One thing I noticed inside Gemini 2.5 Flash, inside Gemini directly, is that the images seem to be really cartoon-like pretty much every time. Whereas, for example, if we have a look here, this is slightly more photorealistic. Which one do you prefer, by the way? Let me know in the comments, anyone who's watching. Do you prefer the AI Studio output, or do you prefer the output from Gemini? I think if I had to choose one, I'm probably going to go with that one, just because it's less cartoony and it's more photorealistic, which is what I think we all crave from photos, really. But either way, pretty impressive right there. So you can see an example right here from Ting. Ting is tweeted and said, give me red hair. And basically they've got red hair right there. Let's try that out now. All right, so let's take this image here. There we go. And then we're going to say, okay, make my hair long, crazy, and bright red. And we'll see what that does. Arian says, AI Studio output similar to what we have seen in LM Arena. And there we go. Look at this is cool. I might get my hair like that. Why not? Let's say make it bright green, dreadlocks. It is crazy easy to just edit the photo, right? Yeah, that's beautiful. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that hair. You may see me on the next live stream with this hair. I can and cannot confirm. So that was pretty easy to do. The other thing that I heard is that it's actually coming out to Notebook LM soon too, which would be pretty cool. let's have a look through the recommendations as well for this. It says, you want the subject, the composition, so how it's framed, action, location, style, and editing instructions, right? So let's take the prompting guidelines from Google here. We'll plug that in here. Then we're going to say, okay, create a funny image prompt for a cat eating bananas here. Whatever you do, make sure it's not cartoon style. So we'll take that and I'll say, this is based on the guidelines I've given you. There we go. All right. So we've got the subject, composition, action, location, etc. Let's go back to Gemini now. And then whilst we're waiting for that to generate, let's go back here. So subject, who or what is in the image, composition, how is it framed? So like close up or wide, what's the action that's happening, location, style, and editing instructions. And then you can preserve character appearances. So for example, it can maintain the likeness. You can see side by side how they look. And now we've got an image and yeah, way better, isn't it? Way more photorealistic, much more interesting. That's what we want. All right. Now I'm going to go back to the prompting wizard here. And I'm going to say, okay. Actually, yeah, I'm going to say, okay, how can we make this funnier? And then it asks, do you want to upgrade the prompt? There we go. All right, boom. Now this is 10 times better for getting better outputs because it's using Google's guidelines. So let's take that. We'll plug that in. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom GPT for generating outputs with this custom built prompt trainer for Gemini. So I'm going to say, okay, give me some instructions for a custom GPT to generate high quality images every time for Gemini 2.5 Flash based on the custom prompting guidelines from Google. All right. And then if you want to create something like this, what I'm going to do is I'll go to GPTs, create image prompter. For the banana. And then if we go to here, we've got the custom instructions. There we go. Now we're going to create this custom GPT. And if you want access to that, I'll put it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Just go to the SOPs and then you'll see the custom GPT for generating better images here. And that's just custom built so that you get a better tool for generating the outputs. Because what I found is if you go directly to it, it's not particularly good as you've seen today. But if you use the custom GPT, way better, right? So you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description if you want it. So there we go. Now we're talking. Way better. Banana eating competition. We got a monkey looking angry. We got a cat with a bib and a bandana. What we can do from that is now we can say, okay, turn this into a video. So if I download that, And you see it's got a little banana reward there too. So we've downloaded that. Then we're going to go over to new chat here. Take that image and turn it into a video. And that's one of the good things about Veo 3 recently is it's got this really cool image uploader. So you can have like character consistency when you're generating those videos. So if I say create a video from this cat banana eating contest, then it should turn that into a video. Let's see what else we got here. Make targeted transformations with precision. So high quality, 3 different images here, right? Let's have a look at this. So high quality photo of a modern minimalist. Living room with a grey sofa. Editing, change the sofa color to a deep navy blue. So you can see that's done there. And then prompt 3, now add a stack of 3 books to the coffee table and you can see them there, right? So tiny little edits like this are really cool. So you can see here, we've got a grey sofa. Then we've got exactly the same image, but a blue sofa. And then we've got exactly the same image, but 3 books on the table. Boom. That's generating the video. Let's come back over here. So you can fuse 2 of my ideas into a single striking image. Interesting. So you can generate a photorealistic picture of an astronaut, a picture of an overgrown basketball court, and then upload both and combine. Show the astronaut dunking a basketball in the court. So this image plus image, this image equals this image right here. So you can, I think it seems like you can add multiple images if that makes sense. By the way, we've got the video back now. Let's have a look what we got. Should have sound on there too. Rafi says, I like banana. Good for you. So it's winning the banana race there. Pretty simple and easy to do. Yeah, so you can create images like so easily using this process. Let's see if we add like the last 2 images here. We'll see if we can combine them. So we'll create a jungle. I'm going to use the custom GPT to generate something better. So we'll go back to this one, click on that. So it gives us the prompt, which is beautiful. Let's take that. We're going to go into Gemini. That was so easy to generate the prompt, right? And that should give us much better outputs. Loving this custom GPT. So now we've got the image of a jungle. I'm going to download that, right? Now I'm going to say, okay, funny basketball playing Bigfoot, something like that. So now we've got this prompt as well. So we're going to generate 2 separate images, one of a jungle and one of this one. So there we go. So now we've got both images here. We should be able to combine them. So we've combined both of these images, the jungle and the basketball of Bigfoot. And then boom shakalaka. There he is. That's got the background of the jungle, some parrots on the basketball hoop, and Squatch on the basketball kit. Pretty cool. And then you can also change like the style of the image to be like drawing mode, or what would happen if something happened, right? So for example, okay, if this woman dropped the cake, what would it look like? There's an example. And you have to use the same session if you want the context. So if we go on the same session here, we say generate an image showing what would happen if Bigfoot did a slam dunk. And there we go. Boom. Bigfoot in the jungle doing the slam dunk. So that's basically it. You know how to edit images, change them, create outputs, create videos from them, use Google Whisk, do all this for free, use the API inside AI Studio. We have covered a lot there. Plus how to custom prompt Gemini to get better outputs too. If you want everything that I've talked about today, including the custom GPT and the free tool that I've built for you for creating better images, get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. You can see we update this group daily with new updates, tests, tools, etc. Also inside here, you can post any questions that you have. It's a really active community of people serious about AI and growing their business and scaling and automating with AI. On top of that, we have loads of different automations inside the classroom, including tons of different NA10 automations, as you can see. We also have, for example, a 6-week masterclass on AI, crash course on all the automations I use in my business, Q&A call recordings, plus inside the calendar here, you can see that we actually do 5 live coaching calls a week, right? Basically, what that's designed for is, number one, to create a community feel where everyone can just share and learn together. But number two, we have experts running those sessions, so you can ask like a PhD scientist any questions you have about AI. And the goal is just to make you save time, help you grow your business, and automate whatever you want with AI. So feel free to get that link in the comments description. Appreciate you watching. And if you want us to automate everything for you, feel free to book in a free AI automation session. On that call, basically what we're going to do is we're going to look at where you spend your time. Then we're going to figure out what automations you need in your business. And from there, if you want to become a client, then we'll just go off and set it up for you. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.